All right, class, welcome. I want to make sure everything's up here. All right. Okay, class, welcome. Today, as promised, what I want to do, excuse me, is I want to talk about the first major graded portfolio this semester, and which you have received back. There's still maybe a couple out where students are having to make adjustments, but I'd say 95% of them are graded and turned in. If you didn't turn in a first portfolio for the class, my suggestion would be to drop the class. There'll be no way to pass. Okay? Be very, very difficult because this was a major, major grade for the semester. And if you didn't do it, it'll be almost impossible to pass the class. So drop the class, and then you can take the class again on another semester when you are prepared to do the work. That will be helpful for you. Now, class, there was some very good work done. I received portfolios that were a mixture of grades from A minus to F's, according to my notes here. If you received a D or an F on your portfolio, there's work to be done. Once again, you will want to go back to the writing center before you hand in your next paper and continue to work there. Also, class, if you have anyone that has this stuff down, like a friend or a parent or someone you know who has writing of essays, a pretty good firm hand on them, you can always show them what I graded for you to help you. And they can walk you through it as I'm going to walk you through it now. But remember, class, and once again, the Writing Center is not there to give you the language in a semester. The Writing Center helps. It's a great center. I used one when I was at the community college. It helped me clean up the errors that I needed cleaning up. It helped me pretty much revolutionize my life in regards to essay writing, but they are not there to point out every mistake. They are there to guide you and to help you and mention your errors, and then it's your job to once again correct those and keep working on those for the future. Okay. And take it very, very seriously. Once again, the errors that you need to make up. I was grading several portfolios this semester that where the student had gone to the Writing Center, and then the students, by looking at their work, I could tell, and I'm not here to be judgmental, but I'm here to help. I don't think the student's ready for college level writing. Okay? Nowhere near it. Because the basics of what should have been learned in first grade isn't even there. Or the basics of basic sentence structure from middle school isn't even there. So I'm here to help because like a student in that situation is way out of their league. And so generally throughout the semester I'll talk with the student, and we'll have virtual conferences this semester where anybody can ask me anything. I'll talk to them and help them and see if they can get in a class that once again is a refresher class that can help them with simple things like creating a simple grammatically correct sentence class, and then moving on from a sentence to a topic sentence, moving on from a topic sentence to writing a paragraph. And so there's some folks that are in that situation. But once again, I read a lot of good work this semester. Combination of A minus to F essays. So So continue to work. If they're D or an F, look over those, all the marks that I made very carefully and ask yourself, where am I? Okay, what do I need to do? What do I need to clean up? Mr. Welsh took the time to grade these essays. He took the time to point out the good things. He took the time to mark, once again, the deficiencies. So, read over your paper carefully when I give it back, and I have given it back. Find out what your mistakes, and once again, study those and work to clean those up. Editing symbols. Class, one of the things that I'll have out in the margin, grading all these virtually, is out in the margin, there'll be editing symbols in your paper. Sometimes on occasionally, I will have WC in the margin. And if it says W/C, that is an abbreviation for me, class, for word choice. Word choice. And once again, I read an essay, a memoir, where one of the students had written down this as a sentence: I know what happened, but they had know as N-O rather than K-N-O-W. And so that was a word choice error, and I pointed it out. On another essay, somebody wrote, I told Yolanda if we could go, in their essay. I told Yolanda if we could go. So I underlined told and put a word choice there, because, class, that told is not the right word. The right word would have been I asked Yolanda if we could go. You can't told Yolanda anything. So once again, look over that. Now, also occasionally I'll have WM, which means word missing. If I have that out in the margin, class, so word missing from a sentence. So there was one essay where the student had written in dialogue, I'm going the toilet. I'm going to the toilet. I'm going the toilet. So I put WC because it needed to be I'm going to the toilet. And then once again, class, sometimes when a person is new to the language, they'll have issues with articles. And I've seen this before. And I'm here to help. See, class, it makes no difference where we are in the language. It's what we're going to do with it, right? We're all somewhere in the language. I still make mistakes. I was talking in class today, I make mistakes when I speak Spanish sometimes, or a lot of the times, but I still try. Okay, when you're new to the English language, sometimes I'll see students will have, or haven't been practicing it that long or writing that long, they'll have issues with articles. So we'll see a sentence like this. I saw in a paper where in a narrative somebody said in the sentence, I want apple. I want apple. Now, if you said that in a store to a produce man or woman, they'd know you want an apple. Okay, but grammatically it's incorrect. It needs an article, so it would be a sentence like, I want the apple, or I want an apple. Or may I please have the apple? Or may I please an apple? Not I want apple. So I would write WM on that because there was a word missing. All right. So if there's word missing from your essay, it falls apart. I graded an essay a few days ago at Final Draft, and I gave it back to a student. And I know the student's working hard, and I'm here to help her. Or it was actually a gentleman. I'm here to help. And the grade of the essay was a D minus, just a little bit above an F. And then the student wrote me and said, Mr. Welsh, It's not my fault. I had horrible English teachers in high school. So I looked at that and I'm like, I don't know what happened in high school. You may have had horrible English teachers, or you may have had pretty good ones. Or maybe you didn't do the work, or maybe you did do the work, or maybe you were blacked out in class, or maybe you weren't paying attention. I don't know. Or maybe you did have a bad English teacher. But the bottom line is, it's over. It's over. High school's over, right? So whether you had a great English teachers or you didn't have good English teachers, it's over. Thank God. Because high school wasn't always the best time for a lot of us. If it was for you, great. If it was challenging for you, great. Thank God it's over. Now the question is, and I wrote to this student a nice note, what are you going to do now? All right. High school's over. I've already shared in the hybrid classes semester, maybe another video, that when I ended up at the community college at the age of 23, I had a lot of work to do because my last 2 years in high school weren't good. I wasn't a good student. I hated it. I felt like I was in a prison. But when I got to the community college at the age of 23, and I was there because I busted my back doing manual labor work, I realized I got to get it together. I got to work. I got to pay attention to what I'm doing and learn my errors and clean them up. So once again, I'm not judging anyone. I never do. I always think to myself, of, when I'm helping students, I always remember this. Never judge them. Be there to help, because all you have to do, I tell myself, is look at yourself at 16. Look at yourself at 17. Look at yourself at 18, 19, and 20. You had some issues. That's why I wasn't in school at the time. But when I got to school and my first essays got hammered by my English teacher, I knew, man, I got things to clean up. I was lucky enough, I remember I did have some good English teachers in high school, my high school, especially freshman and sophomore year. And I had some good teachers in middle school, now looking back on it. But then I missed some things too, because my head wasn't in it. What are you going to do about it now? What are you going to do about it now? I didn't have good, it's time to get to work, if that's the case. As adults, we take responsibility for our actions, and we work, and I understand that. So I don't judge anyone. I'm just here to help and to actually grade these papers, because sometimes students tell me, well, I got these essays back in high school, no one ever put any marks on them. They just put grades. I can't judge that. I wasn't there. But in college, I'm going to grade your essays. I'm going to hit everything, because that's my job. You can maybe find a professor won't hit anything. Go take them. And then you won't learn anything. Or you may learn something, I don't know. Class. Spelling. SP I'll put out. Occasionally if there's spelling error, I'll note it. Class. Let's talk about tense switches and grammar. Here's the rule of thumb I want you to use the rest of your life when you're writing essays. Keep it simple. Pick a tense and stay with it. If you're switching tenses throughout your whole essay, it'll fail. And because once again, we need to pick a tense and stay with it. So keep it simple. Generally in essay writing, you write everything in the past tense. Now, if you want to do everything in the present tense, you can. But generally, things are in the past tense. So you want to look at your essay before you turn it in and make sure you've taken care of everything. You've taken care of the tenses. Like this sentence. This was a tense problem. A student wrote in the essay, I was happy. I walked to the park and I see a bird. I looked at that. It's like, wow, what's going on here? Why does this sound funny? It sounds funny because they went from the past tense, I was happy, into the present tense. I walked to the park and I see a bird. So to make it all past tense, I was happy. I walked to the park, comma, and I saw a bird. Now it's all past tense. So look at the tenses. I had a student with the memoir who was rushing to get it in. And I told him, I said, you know what, I'll grade it, but I want to make sure that you've looked over it. After you've gone to the writing center, check everything, right? I mean, I want it on time, but if I ask you to make adjustment, I'm not going to take points off. The student's rushing it in, right? And I said, you know what? Because when I open it up to hit it, I'm going to hit everything to help. And then I go to grade it. Error. You know, grammar, run on, incomplete, verb tense, switch, boom, boom, F, right? Take your time. Get it in on time. But in the editing process, go over it and over it. Clean, because that's what I still do as a writer. I make mistakes too. I'm just a student like you are of writing. You know, I'll go over, I'm working on an essay or I'm working on a new book, and man, I'll go over things till I am perfect, but it's never perfect. And sometimes before I'll say something out, my wife is very literate. She's a professor. She's a great writer. At the end, I never bring her anything until, I've sweated over it. And then I'll say, hey, you take a look at this. See if you can catch anything in the copy editing. Or if I get stuck occasionally on maybe a transition or something's a little jerky, you know, she can help. Class. Tense. I was happy. I walked, past tense. I was, past tense, to the park, and I saw, past tense, a bird, period. All right? So keep it simple for the rest of your life. Say, is everything here in the past tense in this essay? Because it starts switching. If I have to grade an essay, tens, and it drives the reader crazy, and if it keeps it, then I'll fail it, right? So it'll be a wake-up call for you. Class, in awk, if I put awk out in the column and I've underlined like the whole sentence, look at what's going on, because it could be several things. We'll talk about these in a minute. Could be a tense problem with a fragment, could be a run-on sentence with a tense switch inside it. I'll just highlight the whole thing and put awk on it. And then you look at it and say, why did Mr. Welsh mark this sentence awkward? See if you can fix it. And if you can't, take it to, once again, the writing center. Go back. What's going on here? Take it to someone you know who's illiterate. Pull up the essay that I give you and say, hey man, why did Mr. Welsh mark this awkward? Take it to the writing center. Take it to a friend who's got this stuff down. And anyone you know. They'll say it's awkward because of this. Got a tense switch here. It's a grammar problem. Fix it, right? The only way, once again, you improve, the only way I improve is that I fix my errors or work. And it's a work in progress. It never ends. I still make mistakes. Occasionally I'll send out a letter to a fellow writer and editor somewhere in the country, or I'm pitching a new book, and I'll look and I'll be, this is really clean, this is really good letter, Larry. I'll be telling myself something like, oh, look at that, man. This was a compound sentence and you missed a comma. I'll beat myself up and then I'll let it go. I say, come on, you got to be good. You got to be kind to yourself like you try and be kind to your students. You're going to make errors. You're not a perfect man. You're going to make errors as a husband. You're going to make errors as a father. I'm going to make errors as a writer. I'm going to make errors, I'm not perfect, right? And I know this with my students too. Or, just keep moving forward. You move forward wherever you are in the language class. Just try and keep moving forward. Maybe get one concept one day. I'll never forget. I don't know if I shared this in another video. I'll make it quick. When I was in the writing center back in my community college, and the tutor pounded his fist down on the table and said, "Damn, Welsh, are you stupid? Don't you remember anything? Can't you remember this concept from high school on transitions?" And I was sitting there and I was like, already, man, I was suffering like, from some aspects of low self-esteem. And I was like, man, why is this dude beating up on me? And I told him, I said, I had a couple tough years in high school, but I'm trying. Let's go over it one more time. And then he apologized. He said, I'm sorry that I called you stupid. Let's try it again. And that day I had a breakthrough, on this concept that I was having challenges with. But he helped me. He helped change my life. It's kind of hard. He was getting a doctorate degree at the time at University of Southern California, and he was working in the writing center. I got help. I got some help. He didn't do the papers for me, but he helped me. And then that day was a breakthrough for me in regards to transitions. I started saying, oh, I see. Now I see how this connects. How it's a puzzle, like, in a way. How did I got it by working, by sweating it out. I had to sweat it out. I had to work. I'm not particularly bright. But I keep at it. And, through the years, things have worked out all right. All right, class. Tense. Okay? Class, another thing is, go back, and when it comes to formatting the essay, I showed you that perfectly formatted essay. I've shown it in other videos. I gave you a perfect example of it once again online. It's basically like this, the indents on this is the Betsy Buffo interview with an artist. It's perfectly formatted essay. And then I gave you an example of a perfectly formatted. I've given you, follow it, look at that, and format your essay like that. I've had a couple students, and this is one here like this. This is perfect. We got the name up here, and I got a little ink mark on it, but that's it. Double spacing, 12-point type, proper 1-inch margins, Times Roman, New Times Roman. It's a properly formatted MLA essay. I'm trying to help you with this to get it, because your essay will look like that for the rest of your time in college, and you can't lose when you have a formatted essay. Oh, I've had students. Last night, I've been working with this one student, and she sent me her essay all single-spaced in one block of copy like this. I mean, I've sent it back several times. I said, you've got no title on this? This isn't an essay. This is just a block of copy. I said, I kick it back to her. I'm not taking off any points. She's got to indent her paragraphs. Go back and look at that handout I gave you. I've shown you this picture, once again, of a perfectly formatted essay. Have it looking like that. Thick double spacing, class. And once again, I'm here to help. I'm not, I'm not. I'm not here to beat her up. I'm helping her. I'm taking off any points. I can't grade this. Did anybody show you format for an essay? And I don't know. I'd say, I'll grade it when it's right, because I don't want to start taking off 20 points here, 10 points there. No reason. I'm here to help. Once you get, a lot of people got it on the first shot. Title centered, underlined, double spaced, everything's cool. I get in there, I grade it, I get it back to you. Class, punctuation with dialogue. In America, when you're using punctuation with dialogue, the commas go inside the question marks. The quotation marks. The period goes inside the quotation marks. Look at that. Study that. Look over, once again, Betsy Buffo's that I gave you, Interview with an Artist. Go back and look at the punctuation on Molly O'Neill's, the New York Times piece, The Surgeon's War on Breast Cancer. Commas go inside the quotation marks. Class. So a little heads up. An incomplete sentence. Class, what's an incomplete sentence? If I have it on your paper, that's a fragment. A fragment. So it's not a complete sentence, it's an incomplete sentence. All sentence needs to be a complete sentence is a noun and a verb, or a subject and a predicate. It's lacking one of those and it becomes a fragment. Okay? So, complete sentence. I'm happy, period. Noun, verb. Subject, predicate. Perfect. Javier is in the room, period. Perfect sentence. Maria is praying the rosary. Boom. Perfect sentence. Jacob is gone, period. Boom. Perfect sentence. An incomplete sentence is either the noun or the verb. The subject of the predicate is missing. Look at it. Why did Mr. Welsh, what am I missing here? How is this a fragment? When we write essays, we try our best to have each sentence as a complete sentence. Occasionally, for effect, you can throw in maybe, one fragment here, if you can make it work, but it's got to be complete sentences. Class, what's the run-on sentences? And if a paper just has like non-stop run-on sentences or non-stop incomplete sentences, I'll fail it. Okay, I gotta fail it. Run on, 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 F. All right? Because if I don't mark them, you won't be able to clean them up, right? And you'll do that the rest of your life when you get in that, whether you go to UTEP if you want to go there, you go to Texas Tech, you go to UCLA. Say you went to my alma mater, California State University at Long Beach, or you ended up at Texas in Austin, the great University of Texas in Austin, University of New Mexico in Albuquerque, Texas A&M, Brown, Cornell, Loyola in LA, Loyola Marymount. There's so many good schools. Any school's a good school. Ohio State University, Notre Dame, back in the day for my father, that was the pride of old school Irish folks. If you could get a son or daughter at Notre Dame, that's old school stuff, class. NYU, New York University, SUNY Buffalo, a lot of good schools out there, class. So, you got to clean these things up before you get there. That's why I mark them. Run-on sentence is a sentence that has lost its mind. It's a sentence that is out of control. It needs to be stopped. So once again, look at your run-on sentence and say, why did Mr. Welsh mark this a run-on? And the way we stop a run-on sentence is with a period. All right? I saw a sentence like this in my notes that I wrote down in the essays I was grading. This is all one sentence. And it was like this. Jason asked if he could kiss me. I said yes. Jason asked if he could kiss me. I said yes. So I'm looking at that sentence and it sounds weird. And then I said, oh, I see it's a run on. Jason asked if he could kiss me, period. I said yes, period. If you wanted to make it a compound sentence, Jason asked if he could kiss me, comma, and I said yes, period. So look at the run-on sentences, right? Clean them up. Clean them up. And I'll never forget on my first newspaper job I had in L.A., man, and I had great editors. I worked for the Daily Breeze for about, I think it was a total of 5 years. And I started out as an intern there and a cub reporter. I'll never forget the night I turned in my first story to the city desk. I think I was, how old was I at the time? I was 24 years old. And the editor pulled me up, and we were on deadline, and I was doing a school board story. And he got it, and he said, this is a pretty damn good essay or story, Larry, but you know what? Come here. And he said, what do you have against the period? I said, I don't have anything against period. He said, you know what? You have some run-on sentences here. And he pulled me up next to him after he edited my story and got it to deadline. And he said, you need a period here, 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 and here. I said, all right, Tony, man. God rest his soul. He's gone now. He's a great editor. Tony Tranfa, wonderful assistant city editor. God rest his soul. He really helped me. The other man who used to edit my copy there a few years ago won the Pulitzer Prize as an editor. He's a heavy guy, man. I give a shout out to him, Frank Sarasi, the Los Angeles newspaper group. Those men changed my life. But they would tell me, hey, Welsh, man, you can write, you can report, but you got some things to work on. I was young then. Boom, I said, yeah, man, I'm gonna work. I'll improve. And they let me stay there, And I did my thing. So, run-on sentence. Look at them. Consciously, how do we clean them up? Class. Long prepositional phrases. Get offset with a comma. As a cheerleader back in the year 2000, I was scared of football players. As a cheerleader back in the year 2000, comma. It's a prepositional phrase. Leading, comma. I was scared of football players. Those long prepositional leading phrases, offset them with a comma. Okay. If you fall in love too early in life, comma, you better be careful. If you fall in love too early in life, comma, you better be careful. I'm just making these sentences up, right? We'll always have to be careful, class, with love, but what a beautiful thing it is. What a beautiful thing it is, right? Very good. So exclamation points, class, I'm going to give you the rule that my old journalism teachers taught me, and I had an English teacher tell me this too, mainly a journalism teacher. You get by basically the rest of your life without ever using an exclamation point, all right? Words in themselves carry their own exclamation. If you're going to use one, use it very, very sparingly, and only for true exclamation, like if someone's swearing or screaming a curse word or something. But even then, class, you don't need it. Period will suffice. And I believe that. So you can get by the rest of your life without ever using an exclamation. I don't use them. Maybe once in a million words. I don't know. I don't use them. But if you use them very sparingly, because I've read essays where a student will be like, I was happy, exclamation point. I'm going to the store! Exclamation point. He told me he was sad! Exclamation point. Mary was coming over to my house! Exclamation point. No. All right, you don't need them. You don't need them, especially like that. Now, so that pretty much covers it. Awk, incomplete sentence, run-on sentence, tense switches, grammar, all those things. So word missing, word choice errors, spelling errors, class. Like I said, I've read some great memoirs and a mix of great. So to wrap up, be good to yourself. All right. And I mean this from the bottom of my heart, because if I'm telling you this stuff, I got to tell it to myself too. Be good to yourself, be kind to yourself, and continue the journey of working to improve within the language, within the writing. Writing's challenging. It's rewarding. It can be great. It is great. But, some people may have a bit, it doesn't make any difference. I'm good at it. If somebody says, great for you. Someone says, I'm not so good at it. That's all right too. It's like, what are we going to do, right? How are we going to improve? If I want to get better at boxing, you know what I mean? In the days when I have certainly did some street fighting back in the day, if I'm going to box, how I'm going to get better at boxing, I'm going to train. I'm going to get in the gym. I'm going to throw punches. I'm going to run. I'm going to work on, the jab. I'm going to work on the hook. I'm going to work on, the defensive moves. And we know it isn't all about muscle, right? Saturday night, I watched Tyson Fury, the Irish Gypsy King, and he is Irish, even though he's from Britain. All his relatives are from Ireland. His maternal grandmother is from where my mother was from in Tipperary. Father's sides are from Tuam. His mother's from Belfast. So he's Irish. The Irish Gypsy King beat Deontay Wilder, knocked him out. One of the greatest fights I've ever seen. But, he don't even look that like he's 6'9", 270 pounds, but he didn't even look as good as Wilder. Wilder looked great. Like Wilder been in the gym lifting weights. We find out that boxing isn't all about lifting weights, right? Sometimes guys get so tight they can't even throw a punch. But how did he become the world's best boxer? By boxing, training, strategizing, throwing, striking, punching, hooking, ducking, he got knocked out twice in that fight, and he got up twice. Deontay Wilder got knocked out too. Last time it was the end of him, round 11. We're all going to get knocked out. How do we get up? But what I'm trying to say is, writing's like boxing. You got to practice. You're not going to go into a match, or you're not going to go into a street fight without knowing how to fight, or work, or say you're doing Golden Gloves, or say you're on one of the undercards in El Paso. Seen some good fights in El Paso, like at the Don Haskins Center. You're fighting for some, trying to come up in the middleweight division. You're training. So as writers, we train too. We got to work out. We got to give it time to develop. So be good to yourself, class, and keep developing. I look forward to reading your profiles that are coming in. All right. So I look forward to. I give those my full attention, and be good to yourself. I hope you and your family stay well. I'll leave you as the Irish always say, good luck, good luck, good luck. Have a good evening tonight, and good luck the rest of this week as we continue English 1301. Very good. I'm going to put my notes away for tonight. And We will see you next time. Let's see, we got just a couple seconds here to kill before it becomes a 40-minute lecture. And I think it's that way now. Class, good luck, good luck, good luck. And I'm wishing you well.